What's up, guys? Today I'm going to be talking about 5 things I love about my 2020 Yamaha R3. This list is not in order. I'm just going to go off the top of my head. Alright, so the first thing that I love about this bike is the looks. I think that's the first thing everyone loves about this bike. For it being a 300cc, it looks so much like a bigger bike. And it's because for a long time, small displacement bikes just didn't look aggressive. It was just so obvious that you could tell it's a small displacement bike. But what Yamaha did with the R3, they just made it look so good and aggressive. And they basically just replicated the R6 with a slightly smaller frame, more upright ergonomics, and the front end, like the headlight, doesn't completely resemble the R6. That's the aspect where it's a little less aggressive, and you could see it's not as premium as the R6, but it's still a great looking bike. Probably the best out of all of the low displacement bikes. I mean, I've had someone ask me if this was a Ducati. I don't know how. I mean, he probably never knew anything about bikes, and he just seen like the Ducati fan pages or the Ducati pages on Instagram, and just was like, "Yo, is that a Ducati?" I mean, that just goes to show you that this is a beautiful bike for what it is. The second thing I'm gonna say is the price. I think this is a very competitive price. I think it sits at $5,400 MSRP with ABS, $49.99 for the non-ABS, which is a great price. I think this is the most popular low displacement bike, probably gets the most sales. So for it to be priced at the same as the other competitors is good. The R6 is priced higher than the ZX6R, so. But I think Cowie's just an exception there. I think they're just lower than all the rest of the competition. But yeah, regardless, I think this is a well-priced bike. It's a lot of machine for what you're getting. I mean, this bike 0 to 60 competes with most cars you see on the road. I mean, most cars you see on the road are sedans and SUVs, but I think even like the Genesis Coupe, this bike really competes. And the BRZ, this bike is on that level. The next thing I want to say is the color options that they offer. I had a hard time picking between the gray and the black. I almost went with the gray, but I decided to go with the black. And a lot of people were telling me to go with the gray because that actually looks really good in person. It looks really good. But yeah, as far as the color, I think they give you some good options. And then they have with the 2019, I really like the black with the gold accents, with the gold forks. I think that you could really, if you like black and gold, you could easily go with that. And then with 2020, they did black and silver, which is cool. I think 2019 is more matte black, and then they added the metallic on the 2020. So you can pick and choose what you want. And then they also have the gold on the forks with the other 2019s, and then the silver forks with the 2020s. I think they did a good job with that. But it's funny, I don't really like the color options they have with the R6. I just don't think they look that well. It's weird. What's gonna be the fourth? Alright, so the fourth thing is going to be ergonomics. Ah, shit. This bike has really good ergonomics. And I say that because for a beginner bike, a low displacement bike, it's the perfect spot between aggressive and comfortable. Like the absolute perfect spot. They couldn't have done better with it. I'm 6 foot, 160 pounds, 165, depending on what day it is. And I don't feel too compact. Personally, I actually want an aggressive riding position. I would like it to be more aggressive, but I know that wouldn't really make sense because then it would stop being in the middle ground. But it is nice to be in the middle ground. So you are leaned forward, but your feet aren't far back at all. Your feet are, your legs are in a pretty good position where you'll stay comfortable for a good ride and be comfortable for your first time sitting on a bike. Now, with that being said, the shorter you are, the more aggressive this bike will feel. So I had some of my shorter friends sit on it. The shortest friend I had sit on it, I think, was like 5'6", and he was tiptoeing. I don't think he could flat foot with both feet, and he looked pretty lean forward. Versus me, I look like I'm sitting pretty far upright. You could tell he was leaning forward in an aggressive position, but I mean, it's nothing like an R6. There's people that are 5'6" riding an R6, so you know this bike does a really good job meeting in the middle. And that's honestly why I didn't like the Ninja 400. It was just too relaxed and it was too upright. The handlebars didn't feel as aggressive, and that's really what I love about the R3. And now the fifth, the last and final thing I love about this bike is, I'm going to say, the sound. This bike sounds awesome, and I'm sure a lot of you will be surprised to hear that, because I'm surprised I'm saying that, because me, before buying the bike, the main reason I didn't want this bike is because of how it sounded. I don't know why, on the internet, everyone bashes the sound of this bike and the sound of low displacement bikes. It doesn't sound as good as a 600, but it still sounds good. I have my friends that aren't that crazy into bikes, they just think they're cool. They love the sound of this bike. They think it's aggressive. They think it's like music. It's like music to their ears. But when you go online and do all this research and you really see what's out there, you lose the appreciation of the sound. So I was going into it thinking this bike would sound awful. I wasn't even going to bother putting an exhaust, because I was like, well, it's gonna sound bad, or it's gonna sound a little bit better. So I'd rather just not invest, save money, and get my next bike. But when I had the accident, if you haven't seen that video, check it out. Not an accident, but when my bike was knocked over and they were able to replace the exhaust without me having to put any money in, I said, well, why not? I would actually save me money to put in aftermarket instead of getting a stock one, because the stock exhaust is like $800, the OEM. But yeah, once they put this exhaust on, I just fell in love. I didn't think it would sound this good, and videos don't do it justice. It sounds so much better in person, and I'm really happy that I'm able to experience it, because I really wasn't going to buy an exhaust. And I do not know what I would have been missing out on.
Alright, what's up guys? So something went wrong with my microphone. It started sounding like this.
And honestly, it made me want to keep the bike. I was solely dead set on upgrading.
It started peaking, but it wasn't actually peaking. It just sounded like it was peaking. I don't know what the problem was. It's never happened before. I've used the microphone plenty of times. It's the same microphone you hear in all the other videos. So I'm gonna give you guys a bonus thing that I love about my Yamaha R3, and I'm just gonna talk over this footage. So the last and final thing that I love about my 2020 Yamaha R3 is the aftermarket availability that there is for this bike. There's a lot of different companies and a lot of different aftermarket parts that are available for this bike, and it really makes it enjoyable to own because you know you can customize the bike to exactly how you want it. Pretty much anything you could think of, it's already out there. Pretty affordable, to be honest. The aftermarket parts aren't too bad. It keeps things interesting for sure, like with owning the bike. So for example, TST Industries has a whole bunch of aftermarket parts that you can buy for this bike, whether you want to track it or just increase the riding experience, performance, look, whatever it is on the street. They offer that. And then there's still some other companies that provide their own taste on aftermarket parts. That's definitely a big positive to owning the Yamaha R3. I hope you guys enjoy the outro. It doesn't sound too bad because I'm not on the bike with a whole bunch of noise. It's just like a quick walk around and me talking. So yeah, thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of the video.
Alright, let me pull over here, close out the video. Yeah, so it's gonna be it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. 5 things I love about my 2020 Yamaha R3. If you're thinking about purchasing this bike, definitely think it's great value. Somewhat something you can grow into, depending on your mentality. If you think in your head you're gonna grow into it fast, then probably shouldn't get it. Probably should just get something with more power. That's really what you want. But if you're just considering this bike for having it for like a year or two, I think it's a pretty good bike. If you think you might sell it in less than a year, it's probably not worth it. But other than that, hope you enjoyed. Check out my other videos if you're new, or if you're returning and you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe.